Hi everyone. I'm very sorry I've not been explaining in depth things I've been doing. So I'm going to try and make it up to you and do things a bit slower for you and more explaining for the learners. I presume too much when I'm painting. Anyway, that's a Bockingford 150 rough. It has a bit of tooth in it, so we can add, when you're using the brush sideways, it gives you that little bit of tooth for these rough type of paintings. There we are. There's a wash brush, a size 4. It's made out of squirrel, and there's a small size 4 brush. It's a Winsor & Newton sable, and here's another sable brush, a size 10. And that's all. Those are the 3 we need. That's all we need. Also, what I think I can do for you is I also use a pad like this, so that whenever I put too much on, I'll dab it on and draw the colour off with the pad, and I use that quite a lot. So the first thing I can do in this one, I'm going to show you a simple little painting of a tree and a little road, and say in the highways and up in Scotland way, and this is how I would approach it, not wanting to do it in detail, that I try and avoid doing detail. So here we go. We'll start off with I'll bring it, there's some raw sienna, a useful colour, and we'll use this along the hedgerow as we go. Here we are. Now I'm just going to dab that slightly, and I'm going to bring a hedgerow in here. Now notice the brush on the side, picking up that raw sienna, and when it's on its side it's leaving areas of white. Can you see? Like this. Now this, I'll imagine it will come in along the side of the road. You stood along the road looking down. You don't have your road pointing like that, or it's going upwards. Remember, you will see either side, both sides, that width if you've stood in a road. You won't, as a lot of people do, that make it, learners, beginners, make the road too pointed. So there we are. I've started off there, see? Now this, very rough. What I'm tricking the eye as usual, I'm just making it very rough here, like that. Now then, what you can do, you probably do, is start spiking, putting spikes all the way along there. Let me pick a piece of paper up and show you what I mean. What I mean is, with you being a beginner or even an experienced artist, you'll probably want to do this, and you'll want to spike it. Just let me put a little bit more dark in. You'll probably want to have it spiking like that. But that's totally unnecessary. The reason I say it's unnecessary, but what happens is, if you start putting spikes in your hedgerow here, your eye will start to look all along here and look for, oh, that's wrong, and you'll start picking up details and start using your eye to find detail. Now what I'm doing here is making you think that there's already spikes here. So there we are, we've got that. Now this just start again, and we'll pick up a little bit of umber. Just a moment, slow me down a little bit. Where are we? Pick up a little bit of I must get you a little bit of. Here we go. Now then, what I can do now, I'll bring a little bit of umber in here. Umber there, it's a little bit on a ready cast, like so. Damp it off and just bring it along this area, just here. Now you'll see this, that I'm making shapes in this hedgerow there. I'm leaving it like that. Now that's it. Okay, now what we can do now, take that umber again, and we'll add a little bit of cad yellow to that. See, and look at there, can you see? Okay, and then we can bring it, imagine that there's a road coming, that road over that side, there's the edge road. See, I told you about being wide, your road. You've got this is another edge road. There. Now, that's as far as you need to go. And then again, I'm not spiking everything. I'm just bringing it round there. And you'll notice that this road now is disappearing around that corner. You see there? It's going around that corner there. Now this is all done with no... I'm not doing any drawing or anything like that. So now watch when I bring some... I'll bring you some more. This time, I'll tell you what I'll do. Look, here's a little bit of Van Dyke brown. Now, Van Dyke brown. You say, oh, that's dark. But when you mix it rather weak, it's a lovely light brown. Look. For your road. A lovely brown. And very light. And it has a pinky cast, hasn't it? Can you see? There you are. You have a pinky cast with it this time. Right, there. Now then, you can either put, if you want, you can pour a mountain in here and have a lake at the back. All this in your imagination. There's not hard. But you've noticed I've not spiked anything. I've used a brush sideways on. I've used some cad yellow raw sienna here, either side. And then I've put a little bit of burnt umber with it for these darks and put that on. Okay, now we can carry on. Here we go. Now what we can do now, we'll put a tree in this area here. Now I'll add a little bit of raw sienna again and a little bit of cad yellow this time again. And we'll have it just here. And I see that how rough I'm painting that. But you make that into a tree. Watch. Now I'll get some burnt umber. And I'll get some blue, ultramarine blue there. See, ultramarine blue and some burnt umber. Nice and dark. And then I'll just bring it look sideways on again. Just here. And I'm just putting it there. Just there like that. Taking the same colour, burnt umber, ultramarine to give you that dark brown there, see? Add a little bit along the bottom. You let it dry, don't do it this way. But you can see the shape of it shaping up now into this hedgerow. And okay, so now watch this. We'll get this brush. We'll dry that off a bit with that pad. Let me show you closer. I picked up some brown and I've dried it off a bit like that. You see, it's burnt umber on ultramarine blue mixed. Right. Now I'm going to just give a clump there and a clump here, and a clump here. Now I'm going to make this so that there's branches going up to that, so your eye will do this, so I'll just stroke that down lightly. Now I'm going to pick up some of the umber now. Oh my god, I'm splashing all over the place in a hurry, but you don't mind that, do you? And I'll fill this in here like this. Now there's your tree. All done with the side of the brush, nothing complicated. But I've used mostly umber, burnt umber, a bit of blue to it to get me darks. I've used raw sienna and I've used cad yellow. As yet I've not used any green, any blue in it, other than that little bit of ultramarine. Now if I wanted to make this lighter, put a greeny cast with it, I would, but I would have mixed it with some Windsor blue. But while we're on the cast of the colour is on the brownie cast, I don't want to veer too far away from it. I'll stay with that. Now what if I do put a little, I'll just show you what happens. Can you see it's that dirty green there, well that's not too bad, that would blend in alright, so I could use that here, see, as a tree. Now you can have it solid as it goes farther away, it becomes more solid, so you don't see it very strong at all. It becomes solid as you go farther away, so we'll mix some burnt umber and some ultramarine again, keeping it strong, and we'll just put that in here at the bottom, and we'll just leave that. I'll tell you what, we'll leave it like that. But I must introduce a bit of that colour into here to blend in now, because I've done that. And there we are. Now there's the trees, and there. Now then, what you would like maybe, yes, we can, look, we'll get some water, clean water in your palette there. Put a little bit of blue in it. This is Payne's Grey, but look, it's blue because it's the Payne's Grey in Winsor & Newton has a blue cast. There we are. I would damp the paper before I did this if I were you. There. And I've made it on this Payne's Grey colour to blend in with the rest. Get them splashes on the paper there. That's the way of doing it, isn't it? And there we are. You could add a little bit of blue to it, or ultramarine. Just spot it in here and there like that, amongst your grey clouds. Not too strong though. We'll leave it just like that. Now, if you wanted to put a mountain in, you could put a low mountain in with that, with your same colour. Add a little bit of blue to it, and just put a low mountain in about here. A bit more blue. There we are. Because I can't make an higher mountain because it's all still wet. There we are. Now then, put a few lines along the road. Bring a few shadows across here. This is a tens brush. And that's about it, apart from a few lines which we'll put in a minute. Now we can put a few things in there that will make it stand out. Here we go. Now a bit of, I'm going to mix some ultramarine and burnt umber to get a nice dark brown. This is for putting lines in for the trees, etc. For the tree trunks and all that. So here we go. Now we can bring it through here, through there and here. I see how it makes it look like a tree, and I'm making you believe it is, aren't I? I'm doing this. There we are. There's the base. And there we are. Sometimes you just make it a little better with these lines. Now we can have a fence at the back. Just to make it look better, and we can add a few shades to the bottom of the hedgerow, just there. There's so much more you can do at this, but I've given you the basic of, you don't need to be putting like hundreds of stalks in the foreground and things like that. It's totally unnecessary in this type of painting, but if you do the other kind of painting, for God's sake, don't let me put you off. I admire very, very detailed painters, very much so. So it's up to you, and this is my way of painting, because I'm lazy, basically. I'm just too lazy to be bothered to do detail. And I don't want to see you putting hundreds of spikes of every leaf and every tree and every dab and everything. You have an eye which will make you see these things. You can elaborate on this as much as you want afterwards, but get the basic simple part out and get the design right. I'll just pick a little bit more of a shadow along that mountain at the back. There's a little bit of ultramarine and a little bit of crimson, say, just to put the cloud shadow drifting along the top of that mountain there. That was easy. Now, any more, let me try and explain a few things there, because let me look at this. Here we go. For the hedgerows here, it was raw sienna. Don't mind my dirty palette here. It was raw sienna and a bit of umber, see there. And then umber added here. This was umber again added, but with a little bit umber there, with a little bit of blue to it. Blue and umber. Ultramarine blue. There, see, it's a bit dirty mixed with your umber to get these darks. That's a little paint. That's a bit of Payne's grey, but you'd damp your sky in first if I were you, and then put your clouds in. But I'm just showing you a simple way where you don't need, if you're painting this way I paint, the lazy man's way, you don't need to be bothered putting all these, explaining. You're tricking the eye, and that's all I am doing. I'm just a lazy man who tricks people into think they're seeing things they're not. That's all I can basically say. There's other ways. You can do it in other things as well. You can do it in on buildings, and you can do it in doorways using the same principle. And Ted Wesson was good at this. He could use this method. He probably, as he got older, like in his 80s, like I am, would think to ourselves, let's look at it in a different way. Let's paint loose and not be too elaborate. We're too late in life now to start being elaborate. There we are. Thanks for looking in. I hope that helps.